Alright, let's talk about how we shot this Olympic rock climbing commercial. We worked with Kyra, who's an Olympic rock climber. She has 2 metal rods in her spine. We had this giant 200-foot monolith. We shot on an Xbox-controlled robot arm. We shot on the lenses from Dune 2. We had this huge drone light, a snow machine, some fog, and also a crazy dolly shot on the salt flats.
A keeper of words will tell you there are 2 meanings for metal. One for iron and gold, and the other for the measure of your character. When metal meets fire, it breaks. Atoms tear loose. New grains rise from the fracture. We melt the form. We keep the truth. Proven by pressure. Defined by metal.
This one was super fun. It was directed by my friend Nick Nelson. So really early on in pre-production, Nick and I usually will just go to a coffee shop and then open up our Milanote boards and just kind of throw ideas onto it till we see what sticks. I really love sci-fi movies, and so when we were talking about some different ideas, the idea of this like super menacing monolith was something that we thought about early on, and it kind of just stuck. It also just happens that Kyra is based in Salt Lake. You know, obviously the salt flats are out there, and so pairing that monolith with the salt flats to us got us super stoked because it just felt super ethereal and otherworldly. We shot a bunch of plates, and then the monolith was built in post by Stockyard VFX. For the next shot, this was shot a little bit before sunrise. I really love the contrast of Blue Hour mixed with her red headlamp. The monolith in the background is actually not VFX, it's entirely practical, and I think that cuts really well with the VFX monolith. You can also see some smoke that's kind of flying up above her, and that was made with a mosquito fogger with some mineral oil in it. This next shot is one of my favorites. In pre-production, Nick really wanted to clone Kyra a bunch of different times with the same camera move, but doing different movements. So we shot this in her home gym. We did all red lighting just to make it kind of like, again, very ethereal, more of a red void this time than a black void. And then we put the camera on Ian's robot arm. This was awesome because I've never really worked with a robot arm before. And so getting to have somebody like Ian on set who is an expert on it, it was just great. It was seamless. We got to dial in the exact move that we wanted, and that's the only way that a shot like this would be possible. So then after that, we have a couple of quick flashes. There's one again of the macro eyeball, and then we have some quick shots of some rocks. Basically, we just took a macro lens again, put some rocks in a little glass Tupperware container, and then did some top lighting. This was on day 2. I think this was one of our last shots on day 2. We shot a bunch of plates of Kyra doing the exact same move, and then in post, they just layered her really nicely, and it looks awesome. We shot this one on an ember. I think we were at 400 frames per second. This next shot is on the salt flats. I think this was our last shot of day 1. You can see Kyra running right after Blue Hour. I think the salt flats are crazy because they just look like a frozen tundra, and it looks like we were making her run in like the middle of winter. And so we were all just on the back of Nick's pickup truck. We had a couple guys holding the Ronin 2, and then I was operating the head, and then Trenton, our gaffer, was just hand holding a red spotlight on Kyra. We really wanted to show off the 2 tattoos and the scar from when Kyra had her back surgery to put in the metal rods when she was younger. Again, in VFX, I'm not even sure what the effect is called, but they kind of just like made her arms move kind of crazy, and I think that looks super dope. I think her tattoos on her spine play really nicely with the look and height and width that we went for on the monolith. The next shot is a boulder that we shot right before sunrise. Kyra climbed this in the dark just with a headlamp, and then that light that you see flying over it is a super high-powered drone light that Nick somehow like 3D printed and figured out how to manufacture that, but he flew an Inspire 1 over, and we just got a bunch of different shots of Kyra climbing, some plates without her, and this is the one that made the cut. For this, Nick just had Kyra do a bunch of different stretches. We wanted a really nice spotlight that was kind of on her face and chest, but wasn't super harsh. You'll also notice in this one that the spotlight is flickering, and all we did for that was we literally just flickered our fingers in front of the light. I love this shot. This is one of my favorites in the whole ad. This was one that we planned super early on in pre-production, and so for this we shot 2 plates. The first plate is just the full silhouette. I think Trenton put up a big 12 by behind her, and then we just did some really nice soft lighting so that she was fully silhouetted. And then we did the exact same thing, but it was full body. So we put the camera up on a ladder, kept the lighting the same, laid the 12 by down on the ground so that it was easier for VFX to key her out, and then we had her do a bunch of different movements. This one is by far my favorite from the whole ad. This is the one that we shot on the salt flats with Kyra walking up to the big impossible monolith. So as far as the camera movement goes, we had Ben and Phil, and they were carrying the Ronin R2. I was walking right behind them, kind of just telling them like, hey, go a little faster, go a little slower, and I was controlling the remote head for the pan up. To make it easier for the VFX team, our grip and electric team took 2 combo stands and they put them way out in the distance, about 20 to 25 feet apart. And then we put an orange jacket and some orange tape on the tops, just so that VFX had a reference of about where we wanted the monolith to be. So these next 2 shots are from Kyra climbing at 5 a.m. It was out in this super cool canyon out in Salt Lake that's right by a river. And then for lighting, we just had her turn on the red headlamp. I think that like blew our look with the red headlamp, and then the drone light looks awesome. The first shot is just handheld. It's me looking straight up at her from down below as the drone light flies above her. You'll also notice a bunch of fog in this ad. Something that I've really been enjoying lately is Tarkovsky movies, and I've noticed that he always has like a great amount of fog or snow in his movies that just builds this like otherworldly atmosphere, and as a filmmaker, that's something that I'm trying to do more of. You'll also see a really nice practical lens flare. We just took a flashlight and I did a couple passes just to give, again, our editor something to play with. We shot this on the robot arm again so that we could program a really nice pan from right to left, and I really like how this looks. This shot is our dolly shot. This was really fun. I've never put our talent on a dolly before, and so shout out to our amazing grip and electric team. This was a fun one. I think the behind the scenes from this just looks crazy. I mean, like we were playing the Interstellar soundtrack while we were shooting it because we just couldn't believe that we were on the salt flats doing whatever the heck we were doing. For this shot, we're back to our red void. Again, same top-down lighting, just this time red, and then our gaffer Trenton was just making it flicker to taste. This was shot on the Ember, again in 400 frames per second. This is Kyra in a black void trying to grab a hold as all of these like ominous eyes are watching her. These are actually all of the crew members' eyes. I think the big one is me. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's me. And then the other big one, I think, is our AC Asher. And then lastly, our final shot is Kyra, defeating the monolith. This was a fun one because we had to shoot 2 different plates on 2 different days. This was a really fun challenge because the second shot was shot indoors when the first shot was shot outdoors. Obviously, there is no 200-foot tall monolith in the middle of the salt flats for us to film with. So we had to shoot Kyra doing her final move indoors. And so basically what we did for that was we just made the lighting super soft, super toppy, a little bit contrasty, just like how we had on the day of. And then from there, our VFX team, again, did a beautiful job putting her in the environment and making it look seamless. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think this was, again, another fun project with Nick. I'm super thankful to have been the DP on it. As far as our crew goes, obviously, like I said, Nick Nelson was our amazing director. Shay Smith was our incredible producer. And then our amazing local Salt Lake crew. Our first AC, Asher Brown, our Evo arm tech, Ian, our stills photographer, Mac, our gaffer, Trenton Michael, key grip, Ariel, our swing, Phil and Abel, our BTS, Colby, our production assistant, Ben, obviously Kyra, our talent, our copywriter, Sarah, and our location pusher holds. Also wanted to shout out our post team. They did a fantastic job as well, obviously. We had our editor, Ryan, color was Dan Edwards, our composer and sound design was Bailey Jeffs, and then our fantastic VFX team from Stockyard. Chase, William, Josiah, and all those guys over there. Again, always crushing it. Such a blast to work with this incredible crew, and I'm stoked for the next one. All right, bye.